Chosen one, let me ask you something directly. Have you ever felt that sudden pull, that unexpected force that pushed you away from your last job, even when it didn't make sense? Have you been wondering why everything seemed fine on the surface, yet deep inside, something kept telling you that you didn't belong there anymore? This message has reached you at the perfect divine moment. And if you're hearing these words right now, understand this clearly. God has been trying to get your attention. What happened to you was not random. It was spiritual alignment shifting your entire path. I want you to pause for a second and type 777 in the comments if you can already feel that this message is meant for you. Share your thoughts too, because other chosen ones will resonate with your experience, and your voice might just help someone else on this journey. Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to Rise of the Chosen, tap the bell icon, and share this video with someone who needs clarity today. Now listen, chosen one. God doesn't pull you away from a place unless there is something there that no longer serves your spirit. Sometimes He removes you before you're ready, before you understand, and even before you agree. But He does it because He sees what you can't. There are seasons where God must separate you in order to elevate you. What happened at that last job wasn't a loss. It was divine intervention. And by the end of this message, you will understand exactly why He pulled you out. The spiritual signals before God removed you. Chosen one, before God ever pulls you out of a place, He always sends signals. They may be subtle at first, barely noticeable, almost easy to ignore. But if you look back now, you'll realize those signals were there long before the final moment came. They were spiritual whispers, divine nudges, inner warnings meant to show you that the season you were in was coming to an end. And as a chosen one, you don't just live in the physical world. Your spirit is always communicating with God, and God is always communicating with your spirit. When something isn't meant for you anymore, your soul feels it before your mind ever understands it. One of the first spiritual signals is the growing sense of restlessness. You might have started waking up and feeling disconnected from your job, even if nothing obvious had gone wrong. You felt drained before you even arrived. The energy around you seemed to weigh on you more heavily than it used to. This wasn't laziness. This wasn't a lack of discipline. This was spiritual misalignment. When God begins to shift your purpose, the environments that once felt normal start to feel uncomfortable. Your spirit outgrows the space long before your body leaves it. Then comes the subtle tension within you, a tension you couldn't fully explain. You may have felt like the atmosphere around you was off, like the people around you were acting differently, or like your presence no longer blended in the way it once did. Even small interactions felt heavier. Conversations you used to tolerate suddenly irritated your spirit. The laughs didn't feel real anymore. The tasks you once completed with ease began to feel like burdens. These changes weren't coincidences. They were spiritual signs that you were no longer supposed to stay in that environment. Another powerful signal is inner discomfort. Not physical discomfort, but spiritual agitation. You felt out of place, like you were meant to be somewhere else, even though you had no idea where that somewhere else was. That's God shifting your inner compass. When He is preparing you for elevation, He removes the sense of belonging from the places that can no longer hold your anointing. He doesn't want you to settle into what was never meant to be permanent, so He makes comfort feel uncomfortable. He makes familiarity feel foreign. He makes routine feel restrictive. And chosen one, do you remember the moments when your intuition started getting louder? When something inside you kept telling you, this is not where you're supposed to be anymore? It wasn't anxiety. It wasn't overthinking. It was divine intuition, the spiritual GPS of the chosen ones. God uses intuition to warn you, to protect you, and to prepare you. And when you ignore those warnings, the signals intensify. You may have found yourself feeling more irritated, more tired, more sensitive to the energy around you. That wasn't weakness. That was spiritual sensitivity, sharpening itself. Another sign was the sudden shift in relationships at your job. People you once got along with may have started acting distant, strange, or even hostile. You sensed a shift in their spirit without any clear explanation. Some began showing hidden envy, passive-aggressive behaviors, or subtle forms of disrespect. You felt eyes on you, energy around you, intentions pointed at you. That wasn't paranoia. When a chosen one's season is ending somewhere, God allows you to see the truth behind the masks. He exposes hidden attitudes, hidden tensions, and hidden spiritual battles so that you don't attach yourself to a place that is no longer aligned with your purpose. Then there was the emotional exhaustion, the kind you couldn't shake no matter how much rest you got. This exhaustion wasn't because of physical labor. It was because your spirit was resisting an environment that no longer matched your frequency. Every day felt heavier. Every task felt spiritually draining. You felt like you were forcing yourself to function in a place your spirit had already left. That heaviness was God letting you know that staying any longer would harm your spirit more than you realized. And do you remember how your vision began to feel limited there? Like no matter how much effort you put in, you couldn't grow anymore? When you're a chosen one, stagnation is one of the clearest spiritual signs that God is shifting you. He will block progress in places that cannot hold your future. He will close doors that no longer lead to purpose. He will make sure you cannot rise where you are not meant to stay. Some of the spiritual signs even showed up in your physical world. Unexpected conflicts, sudden changes, situations that seemed designed to push you away. That was divine disruption. God will disturb the environment to move you when you don't move yourself. He will let things fall apart just enough so that you don't cling to a place that isn't yours anymore. Not to punish you, but to free you. Chosen one, every uncomfortable moment, every strange shift, every restless thought, none of it was random. Those were spiritual signals preparing you for separation. God was loosening your grip on a place that could no longer nourish your destiny. And now that you can look back with clearer eyes, you can finally understand. The signs were there all along. God was guiding you out, step by step, one spiritual signal at a time. Chosen one. This is why God pulled you away from your last job. Chosen one, now it is time to understand the truth with clarity, with spiritual depth, and with the authority that comes from divine wisdom. You didn't lose that job. You weren't rejected. You weren't pushed aside. God pulled you away from that place for a reason far greater than your human mind could comprehend when it was happening. As a chosen one, your path is not ordinary, your journey is not common, and your transitions are never accidental. When God steps into your life and redirects your steps, it's because something powerful, something essential, something spiritually significant is happening behind the scenes. And whether you realized it or not, God stepped in to protect you, elevate you, and prepare you for a destiny that could not unfold in that old environment. Let's start with this truth. God removed you because the environment you were in could not support where He was taking you. The energy, the atmosphere, the frequency of that workplace was no longer aligned with your spirit. You had outgrown it. Your purpose had evolved. Your anointing had expanded. The place that once served you became a place that was silently draining you. Your soul was suffocating there, even if your paycheck looked stable. God saw that the environment wasn't feeding your purpose anymore. He saw that staying there would stunt your growth, dull your gifts, and shrink your identity. So He intervened before the damage could go deeper. Another reason God pulled you away was protection. Deep spiritual protection. You have no idea what conversations happened behind closed doors, what energies were directed toward you, what unseen intentions were forming around you. Many of the people who smiled at you were threatened by you. They sensed your light. They sensed your confidence. They sensed your divine calling, even if they couldn't explain it. And chosen one, you must understand this. Your presence alone disrupts darkness. Your spirit exposes what others try so hard to hide. People notice you even when you're quiet. Your energy speaks even when your mouth is silent. And not everyone in that place could handle that. There were people who were intimidated by the way God blessed you, intimidated by your work ethic, your integrity, your natural leadership. Some didn't like how easily others gravitated toward you. Some didn't like the respect you earned without trying. There were hearts around you that carried envy, resentment, and silent competition. Some people were observing you not to support you, but to find weaknesses they could use against you. God saw all of this long before you did. He saw the spiritual warfare forming around you. He saw the jealousy rising. He saw the hidden plots. And in His love, He didn't ask you to fight those battles. He simply removed you from the battlefield. Another reason God pulled you away was because you were settling. You were accepting less than what you were created for. You convinced yourself that it was good enough, that it was stable, that it made sense logically. But spiritually, you were shrinking. You were dimming your own light to fit into a place that was never meant to contain you. You were operating beneath your calling just to maintain comfort. But God doesn't allow chosen ones to stay comfortable for too long when their purpose requires expansion. He disturbs comfort when comfort becomes a cage. He disrupts your routine when your routine begins to suffocate your destiny. When you settle, God shakes things up. You may have wondered why things suddenly started feeling heavier at your job, why the atmosphere grew colder, why the work became harder, why your motivation disappeared. It was because God removed His grace from that place. The grace that once made it easy was gone because the season was over. When grace lifts, frustration rises. Tasks that were once simple become draining. People who were once tolerable become unbearable. The environment starts rejecting you because spiritually you don't belong there anymore. The moment God lifted His hand from that place, you began to feel it in your spirit. And here's another truth. Your assignment in that job was completed. Chosen ones are always placed in environments for divine reasons, sometimes to uplift others, sometimes to bring light, sometimes to learn, and sometimes to strengthen spiritually. But once the assignment is done, God pulls you out. Staying longer than your assignment leads to spiritual dryness. When your purpose in a place is fulfilled, your spirit begins to hunger for more. And God knew you were ready for the next chapter, even if you didn't feel ready yourself. God also removed you because He wanted to redirect your focus. That job may have taken too much of your time, too much of your energy, too much of your mental space. It may have distracted you from your gifts, your purpose, your spiritual development. You were giving pieces of yourself to a place that didn't appreciate your worth. You were investing your divine energy into something that gave minimal return. God saw how drained you were becoming and said, "No more." He stepped in to shift your attention back to what matters, your spiritual calling, your growth, your next divine chapter. Another powerful reason is this. God wanted to break cycles that you didn't even know you were repeating. You were repeating emotional cycles, financial cycles, mental cycles, patterns of being underpaid, undervalued, and overlooked. God saw that if He didn't intervene, you would continue settling there out of routine or fear. But chosen ones are not meant to live in cycles. They are meant to rise, evolve, and expand. God broke the cycle by breaking the connection. And here is something you must deeply understand. You were too big spiritually for that environment. Your spirit was expanding while the place you worked at remained the same. Your vibration rose, but the atmosphere stayed low. Your purpose grew, but the opportunities there did not. You were elevating internally, but the environment around you wasn't designed to support that elevation. The mismatch became too wide to ignore, and God had to step in before the mismatch broke you. Finally, God pulled you away to prepare you for something new, something bigger, something aligned, something divinely timed. You may not see it yet. You may not understand it yet. But God never takes without giving. He never closes without opening. He never ends without preparing a beginning. The job you lost was not the end of your story. It was the beginning of your transformation. It was the beginning of your realignment. It was the beginning of your elevation. Chosen one, hear this deeply. God removed you because where you were could not take you where you're going, and where you're going is greater than anything you left behind. You were too big for the place you left. Chosen one, it's time to face a truth that your spirit has always known, but your mind struggled to accept. You were too big for the place you left. Your presence carried more weight, more light, more spiritual authority than that environment could handle. You didn't fit there because you were never meant to. Your spirit was expanding, your purpose was maturing, and your inner voice was rising. But the place you were in remained small, stagnant, and limited. You weren't dismissed. You outgrew it. And God had to pull you away before that environment tried to shrink you enough for you to fit again. As a chosen one, your energy is not ordinary. You walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. People feel something when you show up, even if they don't understand what it is. Your presence carries a spiritual vibration that unsettles those who are operating on a lower frequency. This is why some people at your job reacted strangely around you. They felt the intensity of your gift, the purity of your spirit, and the weight of your calling. They may not have had the words for it, but they felt it. And when people who are spiritually unaligned sense your light, they respond with discomfort, insecurity, and resistance. You were too big for that environment because God placed something inside you that demanded more growth, more space, more challenge, more purpose. But that job offered you routine instead of expansion, tasks instead of calling, and limits instead of opportunity. The moment your spirit began to grow beyond the boundaries of that place, everything around you became tight, suffocating, and restricting. That was not failure. That was spiritual confirmation. Chosen one, there were people in that place who could feel your elevation happening. They sensed you were meant for something greater. They sensed you weren't like everyone else. Some admired you, others feared you, and a few were intimidated by the way you operated with such natural grace. Your excellence exposed their complacency. Your integrity highlighted their shortcuts. Your light revealed their shadows. And when people can't rise to your level, they often try to pull you down or push you out. But God didn't let them. He removed you himself because your destiny was too important to be suffocated by small minds and insecure hearts. Your spirit was beginning to expand in ways that environment couldn't support. You were asking bigger questions, dreaming bigger dreams, and feeling deeper desires for purpose. That job had no room for the version of you that God was forming. It could only hold the old you, the version that tolerated limitations and accepted less. But once God elevated your spirit, the old version of you could no longer survive in that space. Staying there would have required you to shrink yourself, hide your gifts, silence your intuition, and settle for less than you deserved. God refused to let that happen. You were too big spiritually, too bright energetically, and too important divinely for that environment. And deep inside, you knew it. There were moments when you felt like the ceiling was pressing down on you. You couldn't grow no matter how hard you tried. Every time you attempted to elevate, something blocked you. Every time you used your gifts, they went unnoticed or unappreciated. That wasn't you lacking value. That was the environment lacking capacity. You were a giant, walking in a room built for the spiritually asleep. You were a vessel of purpose, surrounded by people satisfied with mediocrity. You were a prophetic soul in a place that only understood titles and job roles. And let's be honest, chosen one, if God didn't pull you away, you would have stayed out of habit, loyalty, fear, or comfort. You would have convinced yourself that you could make it work. But God saw the truth. The longer you stayed, the more you would have dimmed your own light trying to blend in. That environment was too small to carry the weight of your future. So God removed you before the place drained you completely. You were too big for that place because your calling is not tied to buildings, positions, or titles. Your calling is spiritual. Your destiny is expansive. and your journey requires environments that can match your frequency. The place you left was only meant to be a chapter, not the whole book. It was a training ground, not your final destination. You learned what you needed to learn there. You grew as much as you could there, and once your spirit stretched beyond its walls, God guided you out. Chosen one, you didn't walk away from the place because it rejected you. You walked away because your purpose outgrew its limits. You were too big for the room, too bright for the atmosphere, too chosen for the environment. And now God is leading you into spaces that can finally hold the full weight of who you are becoming. God needed to protect your spirit. Chosen one thing you must understand with absolute certainty is this. When God pulled you away from your last job, it wasn't just about a career shift, a change of environment, or a new opportunity. It was about protecting your spirit, the most valuable and sensitive part of who you are. Your spirit carries your purpose, your intuition, your anointing, your divine identity. And when your spirit is under attack, God steps in quickly, quietly, and decisively. He does not wait for you to break. He does not wait for the situation to escalate to a point where you lose yourself. The moment he sees danger aimed at your spirit, he intervenes, even if that intervention feels uncomfortable or confusing at first. You may not have realized what was happening spiritually at your old job, but God did. He saw how the energy around you was beginning to weigh you down. He saw how certain people's intentions toward you were shifting. He saw how the atmosphere was growing darker, more draining, more hostile to your inner peace. And, chosen one, you may not have known it, but your spirit was being targeted. Not directly, not always in obvious ways, but through constant stress, subtle disrespect, hidden envy, negativity, emotional pressure, and spiritual heaviness. These things may look small on the surface, but spiritually they are corrosive. They slowly wear down your energy, weaken your confidence, and cloud your inner clarity. God needed to protect your spirit because he saw the invisible warfare forming around you. As a chosen one, you carry a light that irritates ungodly spirits in others. Your presence awakens their insecurities. Your growth challenges their complacency. Your integrity exposes their dishonesty. Without even trying, you become a mirror that people cannot avoid, one that reveals their truth. And because of this, some people begin to act against you without fully understanding why. Their spirits recognize your anointing before their minds do. Their jealousy starts forming before they even identify its root. Their discomfort shows before they speak a word. God saw all of this happening, and he knew the longer you remained there, the more your spirit would be drained and attacked. Another reason God had to protect your spirit is because the environment was lowering your vibration. Chosen ones operate at a high spiritual frequency: clarity, empathy, integrity, intuition, creativity, purpose. But when you spend too much time in a place filled with negativity, gossip, bitterness, or spiritual laziness, your vibration begins to dip. Not because you're weak, but because your energy is sensitive. You absorb more than the average person. You feel things deeply. You notice what others ignore, and if you stay in environments that do not match your frequency, you begin to feel disconnected from yourself. God refused to let that happen to you. Some days you left work feeling emotionally exhausted in ways you couldn't explain. That exhaustion wasn't physical, it was spiritual. Your spirit was carrying weight that didn't belong to you. You were picking up energies from others, absorbing stress that wasn't yours, and fighting unseen battles that weren't meant for your soul. God saw the toll it was taking. He saw how you were slowly losing your passion, your joy, your inner fire. He saw how the environment was dimming your light day by day. So, he cut the connection before the damage became deep enough to require healing instead of simple redirection. God also removed you because he saw how easily that environment could have shaped you into someone you were never meant to become. You were surrounded by behaviors, mindsets, and energies that were subtly influencing you. You may have found yourself becoming more anxious, more irritated, more impatient, more disconnected from your true self. That wasn't you changing, That was your spirit reacting to a misaligned environment. The longer you stayed, the more you risked losing your authenticity. God had to protect the purity of your spirit, the softness of your heart, the clarity of your intuition, the strength of your purpose. He couldn't allow you to adapt to an environment that wasn't aligned with who you are. Chosen one, God protects your spirit even when you don't know it's in danger. He sees what you can't. He hears what people say behind your back. He feels the energy you walk into before you do. He knows when a place is beginning to drain more from you than it pours into you. And he knows when the environment has shifted from being a part of your growth to becoming a threat to your soul. That's why he pulled you out quickly, unexpectedly, and in a way that seemed abrupt. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't a setback. It was divine protection. God needed to shield you from spiritual attack, emotional exhaustion, and mental heaviness. He needed to rescue you from people who did not deserve access to your energy. He needed to protect the purpose inside you from being contaminated by negativity or brokenness. He needed to keep your spirit strong, clear, and aligned for what he is preparing you to step into next. You may not have understood it then, but now you can see it clearly. God pulled you away because your spirit was too valuable to remain in a place that couldn't honor it, protect it, or elevate it. And everything he protects, he eventually promotes. The people around you could not handle your anointing. Chosen one, you must understand something deeply and without apology. The people around you at your last job could not handle your anointing. Not your personality, not your work ethic, not your skill set, your anointing. That divine glow over your life, that unexplainable presence that makes you stand out even when you're trying to stay low. Your anointing is the spiritual signature God placed upon you, and it speaks louder than any resume, louder than any title, louder than any words you could ever say. It walks into the room before you do, and because of that, it creates reactions in people that they themselves cannot explain. Some people admired you, respected you, and quietly learned from you. But many others felt threatened, exposed, uncomfortable, and intimidated. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your light amplified the parts of themselves they refused to confront. Your excellence revealed their laziness. Your integrity exposed their dishonesty. Your calmness irritated their inner chaos. Your confidence highlighted their insecurity. Your growth made their stagnation obvious. You didn't go out of your way to shine, you simply existed. But your existence felt like pressure to those who were spiritually unprepared to handle someone chosen by God. The truth is, chosen one, your anointing disrupts atmospheres. People can feel something different about you even if they can't explain it. They notice your presence, your energy, your potential, and they compare it to their own. For some, this inspires them. For others, it threatens their ego. Many people in your old environment were spiritually immature, emotionally fragile, or internally conflicted. They were used to being in control, used to being the smartest in the room, used to being the one others looked up to. But when you showed up, everything shifted. They felt overshadowed without you even trying to shine. There were people in that place who felt uneasy around you because your spirit made their intentions visible. They couldn't manipulate you. They couldn't deceive you. They couldn't hide their true nature in your presence. Your intuition was too sharp. Your discernment was too strong. Your energy was too pure. And when people realize they cannot influence you, they either distance themselves or they try to bring you down. God saw these hearts long before you did. He saw the envy forming in corners, the silent competition brewing behind smiles, the passive-aggressive behaviors that hinted at deeper resentment. And he knew that your anointing was provoking reactions that could eventually harm your spirit. This is why some people treated you unfairly, why some supervisors observed you more closely than others.